Hello and welcome to the Heresy Lodge. I am your host, Dylan Cooper, the Consecoast over here.
Gavin Franklin.
You cannot see him, I cannot see him, but he's there. Gavin Franklin exists. He just
Yes,
has
my
really shitty internet.
Wi-Fi. My Wi-Fi is down. Damn MetroNet again. So I am hotspotting, and it's going pretty poorly.
About as well as you'd expect, for sure. Well, Gavin, I'm sure without internet, you've had to been drinking. What are you drinking, buddy?
I am drinking the Hellas from Blue Stallion
Hmm.
from Lexington, Kentucky. Very, very good. Much better cold, but
I
still
believe
not
it.
bad warm.
Yeah, I agree. It's satisfactory when it's warm.
hmm Did you get anything from beer when that you enjoyed, or was it all just kind of okay?
I like the Hefeweizen. And what was the other one I
Yeah.
got? Both of the ones I had were good. I think the other one was just like their light lager. No, that was fine.
We ended up staying there for like a whole hour and a half after you left. I mean,
Damn.
Connor left, but they opened up the fires. It was like perfect temperature for it. So we went out there and had a couple of beers.
Nice.
Yeah. What are you drinking, sir?
Going through my Sam Adams pack still. I got myself a winter lager and I have a golden pilsner. So we'll be going through that. The winter lager is about halfway gone because we've been chatting for a few. But yeah,
I feel like their golden pilsner has to be good.
I agree. That's why I'm drinking it second.
Yep, that's a good move.
Because the winter lager, I'm just never a fan of
I used to drink that as a punishment drink. The Sam Adams Winter
it.
Lager. It
Yeah.
was not good when I was younger.
Yeah, I mean, the first sip wasn't good. It's better the more I drink it, but it's not like, damn, that's good. It's like, this is a beer that I'm drinking.
Yeah, my eighth shot of tequila is a lot better than the first one.
Amen, brother.
I don't know what it is. I guess my mouth's just getting used to it, or I'm very drunk.
Hell yeah, that's the way to do it, though. All right, guys, let's get into it. I guess we should pause. Thingies. Get on our Discord. It's cool. We do a monthly book club. There's a weekly movie night. There's a lot of shooting the shit. Check us out. You can find that pinned to our Twitter at Heresy Lodge. Email us at heresylodge@gmail.com. Check us out on YouTube at the Heresy Lodge. We have merch. Check out some merch. Those are the things. Gavin, we are done with Mistborn. We're done with Sanderson. We are back in Red Rising. We are reading Iron Gold. What are your initial thoughts?
Feels so fucking good to be back. That's my initial thought. This book is so much better, in my opinion, than the first three. Not that the first three were bad. This is just blowing it out of the water. And coming from Mistborn, it's like it feels like the best book I've ever read. Probably not true, but that's what it feels like.
Man, the book after Iron Gold is fucking nuts. Literally, like I was reading a little bit before we started this, and it was like one of the most gruesome scenes like I've ever read. I was just like, what
Yes.
the fuck, Pierce?
Pierce Brown got a lot more gruesome in these books. Now,
He
it's been
did.
a while, right? So, like since we read the first three, and maybe there was some, I think there was some gruesomeness there, but like, damn, there's some scenes even in Iron Gold that I'm like, holy fuck, like a lot of death, a lot of really fucked up shit. Um, and he writes it really, really well. It gives off like the biggest Game of Thrones vibes. But I don't want to compare it. I feel like I always compare Pierce's books, like, oh, this is like Game of Thrones. Oh, this is like Hunger Games. But it just gives off this like dark fantasy setting. Very, I wouldn't say hyper realistic, but just like crazy scenes all the time.
Yeah. And like I feel like every book he's gotten better. Like a lot of people rank Iron Gold as one of their least favorite books, which I think is fucking crazy.
That's crazy. This is a great book.
Yeah, I would probably put it as my third favorite right now.
Now, granted, I'm halfway through or close to halfway through, um, about on page 230, and there's like 600 pages, so I'm getting close to halfway through. But gosh, like let's talk about the one thing that I think makes this book, or so the change up that made this book so much better, and that's the point of view.
Yeah,
point of views.
I also just like love the characters that he chose for the POVs because he it's not just a bunch of golds. You have Daro as your gold. You have Ephraim, who is a gray,
Hmm.
and he's just a badass. It's fucking awesome. You have
Yes.
Lyria, who's a red, and like the change of like especially for the reds, like the change of
Society.
society has been fucking terrible for low reds. And I find like that dynamic is so cool that
Hmm.
and it's super realistic. I mean, you have I mean, we'll talk more about it, but like it's kind of something that like Sanderson kind of started in Mistborn, and then we just kind of ignored that and went back to superpowers. Where
Did
this
he
one's like,
really?
yeah, shit fucking sucks.
Mm. Oh yeah, like where stuff gets really bad in the society. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the
Um,
four POVs that we get, you've
we
got
have Lysander.
Darrow, you've got Darrow, you've got Ephraim, you got Lysander, and you've got Lyria.
Yep.
The craziest part about this is I like all of them.
Yep.
Every single one of them is a crazy interesting story. And you asked me, I think like a week ago when I was like a fourth of the way through, like, oh, what's your favorite? I was like, oh gosh, I really like Darrow. I still like Darrow. But I think if I had to choose now, I think it's Lysander. I think Lysander's story is absolutely insane. But like, I thought I would hate Laria's story at first, but then when she meets the Telemanuses, I'm like, holy fuck, this is a crazy story.
That I'm telling you, Lyria is the most unlucky character of any person I've ever read. I can't like the more things that like shit just keeps happening to her and it happens in Dark Age too, and you're just like, this poor girl, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But
Uh,
yeah, like Lyra's story, like let's like start with her, okay? I think that's where the book starts anyway. Is with Lyra, I think. Or is it Dara that it opens with?
it's Darrow. Yeah,
Where do you want to
starts with
start?
Darrow. Well, let's start with Darrow. I think it puts like a big backdrop to pretty much the rest of the stories that are occurring because his story, they talk about it in almost all of the other stories as like a background to what they're doing.
Yeah. And Daro's just fucking being Daro, which is what I like. Like people like complain like, "Oh, he's so fucking just like he just does dumb shit in this book." And I mean like, yeah, I guess, but it's also just Daro as his character. Like he is just this like headstrong like, "Guys, look, we're in war. You know
Yep.
what you do during war? You war. Like we're not gonna sit down and talk about shit. Like we gotta get this planet or we're all fucked. You guys telling me I can't do that because two guys said no and they won the popular vote? Fuck that. I'm going in. We're doing our shit.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And as a matter of fact, like this is the only I have one qualm with this entire book so far, and it's Darrow's opposition doesn't make sense to me.
I agree.
Darrow actually seems incredibly sensible here. If you think about this from just like a real world perspective, right? Essentially, what happens is the book opens up to the Siege of Mercury. So, where we last left off, the freed people or whatever they're calling it essentially own Earth and Mars. And
Public.
the outer, yeah, the Republic, the outer rim, which is all the planets outside of the asteroid belt, are their own independent nation. And they basically said, look, we're not even going to cross the rim. Like, we're just don't even talk to each other. And it's like a stalemate. But the inner planets, Venus and Mercury, are owned by the Ash Lord, who is it was the sovereign's husband, correct?
No, because it's Lysander's godfather. I think that he's Aja's dad.
No, he's not Aja's dad. He has
Yeah,
another.
he's the Ash Lord is something Graumus. So, like Aja and Atalania are his daughters.
Oh, okay. Some there was some relation. So
Yeah.
Lysander
Yeah, he's
is,
Lysander's godfather.
but Lorne was Lysander's grandfather.
Right. Lauren is
Yeah,
an
so
Arcos.
I think that the Ash Lord was the sovereign's husband.
I think maybe his brother was or something. I don't
There
remember.
was some relationship between the sovereign and the Ash Lord, but the Ash Lord owns Venus and Mercury. So 10 years is the distance that we have in these books from the previous three. And Darrow it opens up to Darrow doing an Iron Rain upon Mercury and taking over the planet. Which when I first read that, I was like, wow, what a crazy start, you know.
Hmm.
Um, 10 years down the line, we get the siege of another planet in the solar system, which is something I didn't expect to happen until much later. But that actually has a major, major impact because you've come to find out that a democracy was set up within the Republic, and Darrow was told by the democracy or by the Council or Senate
Then yeah.
to not attack Mercury. And you gets a little bit even deeper because emissaries were sent to Darrow from the Ash Lord prior to the siege of Mercury to negotiate terms of peace. So this is where shit doesn't make any sense to me. The, when all of this is found out, and we'll cover that in a second, that it becomes a huge deal that Darrow did not stop the attack on Mercury and did not pursue peace talks and allow the Senate to engage with that. But in my mind, that from a real world perspective lacks a lot of logic because if you're going to declare war, which is what the Federation did, then you have a commander in the field. You have to empower that commander with the ability to accept or decline peace treaties, especially in that scenario, because he looked at it like you're just trying to stall the attack on Mercury. So people can use, and your enemies can use those kind of tactics in order to gain some sort of advantage in a battlefield or a warfare zone. And that's what Darrow thought they were doing.
Yeah,
I fully believe that Darrow, as the lead commander, was in his right to reject that as an option up front.
I agree.
So the fact that that was a whole problem, like the biggest problem behind the Darrow scenario, I think is a very silly situation.
Yeah. But I think it's because like, oh well, look at you. You're just a gold tyrant. And he's just like, guys, I just want to win this war. Like I got a son now. Like it'd be cool to hang out with him, but I can't do shit until this war is over.
Yeah, and what Darrow's saying and like his point is very, very obvious. He's like, look, we have a lot of inner struggles, a lot of economical struggles since we've became a nation, a lot of inner turmoil. And all of that will destroy us if we can't finish the Ash Lord quickly. You have to empower me to do that because then we won't also be at war.
Yeah.
And Darrow also knows that eventually, someday down the road, because he knows what he did in the third book, which was destroy the basically the starport of the Rim, that they will come across and try to invade the inner planets.
Yep.
So he's like, listen, we cannot be dealing with any of this shit. The most important thing for the survival is speed. We got to be quick with dealing with all these problems. And he's absolutely right. 100%.
Yep. Also, like he's weeks away. So that like any sort of like communication, you're looking at minimum days and then probably weeks for responses, especially through the Republic style. Like you have to call the Senate. They have to do their votes. Yada yada yada. Like you are
Yep.
at war. Like you don't have time for that shit.
So what Darrow does instead is he hides the fact that there were emissaries. He invades Mercury. He comes back and he gets a scolding for invading Mercury from Dancer.
Yep.
So let's talk about Dancer.
Dancer has definitely fallen from grace as far as like they talk about like he's kind of like a father figure to Darrow. He, was the right hand man to Art Aries. He did all this shit for Red, and now he's just like super political and is all about the Republic and fairness, I guess. And it comes
Dancers
off so weird. He's just kind of an asshole to Darrow now.
yeah, Dancer's stance is both logical and illogical at the same time. It's logical in the sense that he came from the foundations of Red. He's very angry with how Red were treated, and he basically wants. He doesn't really. I don't see like a big push for reparations, but the concept is like, why are golds still in power? The answer is simple. Golds are in power because they were in power. Like,
Yeah.
in order to solve that, you have to strip them of that power. And obviously, the new sovereign, who is Mustang, knew that they needed all of the resources that the Golds had in the inner system in order to fight the war, to bring stability. She's also right. Like, there's nothing that I don't think that there was a good path there. The
Yeah.
one thing that really confuses me that's very illogical about Dancer's stance is I totally understand where he's like, hey, let's try and make Red's lives easier, the low collars' lives easier. Great. The part that's a struggle is when eventually Dancer finds out about the emissaries, he pushes heavily to try and negotiate peace with the Ash Lord, which seems very counterintuitive given the fact that the Ash Lord still treats the Reds as slaves.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that part also like it doesn't make sense, especially when you get like the Lyra story and you find out that they're basically putting fucking Reds in like concentration camps. It's not like they're like
Uh,
the Reds are having great lives. They're being put in fucking camps outside of mines, and they're like, "Well, fucking figure it out, guys. Hopefully, you don't get murdered by the Red Hand."
yeah, and that's where Dancer's side makes sense because he's like, we need to improve that situation.
Don't do
But
anything about it.
Daro is saying, yeah, Daro's like, that's great. I agree. We have a dude that has a bunch of slaves over there that's trying to kill us. Can we take care of that first? Like,
Yep.
at no point in time did Daro ever come out and say, actually, no, I
Fuck the
fucking hate the
Reds.
Reds
Fuck
now.
the
Yeah.
police.
Yeah, he's like, I fucking hate the low collars. Never said that. He was just like, that's great. We've got a bunch of guns pointed at us, though. Can we talk about collar justice later? And that's Darrow's main focus. You see throughout the entire book is his mentality is like, no one, I don't understand why anyone fucking understands this. Like the we have people trying to kill us, and this peace treaty that they're trying to negotiate makes no fucking sense. I don't know why people think it makes sense. It's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. We just need to kill these guys.
Yeah,
And I
like
agree,
I don't
100%.
even know that like what would the Ash Lord like really like what does that treaty look like, right? Is he like, look, I'm gold, I should be in power, and you all can go fuck yourself. Or they're like, oh yeah, yeah, that's a good treaty.
Yeah, he's basically literally just gonna be like,
They just
okay,
want
I want
he
to,
wants his society back.
yeah, I won't attack you, but we're just gonna keep doing what we're doing, which is the entire thing that you rebelled against in the first place.
Yeah, makes no sense. Just fucking kill the man.
It really seems like Dancer's position. The strange part is Darrow made this concession in the rim. He was like, I need to save the inner planets. And Dancer is basically coming to this conclusion that like that's too much. We just need to save Earth and Mars. And it seems like Dancer is like hyper obsessed with Mars. Like he kind of doesn't give a shit about Earth actually,
Yeah,
because that's
Earth
where
is
he's from.
like in a weird place in the books, which fair. I mean, Mars, you get helium-3. I mean, they're in Lu on Luna right now because
Yeah,
that's where the sovereigns always lived, I guess. Earth has a big old prison, and I think some obsidians maybe were
yeah,
sent there.
yep.
I can't remember
And
what
that's
else was on Earth.
that's one thing. Sephi, who, if you recall, is Ragnar's
Seaster.
sister, and she's kind of in charge of the Obsidians. Close friend of Darrow's, obviously a big ally. Oh, sorry, I almost like completely fell off of this chair. But um, they talked about how in the battle for Mercury they lost a million, close to a million Obsidians.
Yeah.
So Sephi's position makes more sense to me because from her perspective, she's like the queen of the Obsidians, and she's basically saying, well, I think you guys might need to figure this one out without us. It's not that we don't support the war with the Ash Lord. It's just that we're kind of tired of dying for it. And I totally understand that.
Yep.
And the part that doesn't make sense to me is from everything I understand, Mars and Earth are the only places where obsidians are from.
Yeah. Uh,
So I don't know how the Ash Lord is able to resist as much as he is, given the fact the way the obsidians are. I mean, they're literally described as like they're like space marines almost in this world.
yeah, there's big motherfuckers.
Huge, like 3 feet, like they're like 9 feet tall.
Yeah, they're just big. Big and all they're all fucking ripped. Where's my fat ass obsidians, damn it?
I thought you were going down a different route with that. Give me one of my
There's
them
plenty of
big
muscle
booty
mommies. Don't you
obsidian
worry.
girls.
They're all
I'm a,
fucking muscle mommies.
give me my muscle.
Where's my fan art? I guarantee you there's a bunch.
There was a seed where like there was a they were in a howler meeting and there was like a red that's a new howler and the meeting gets called and she's like, what do you want? I was at a whorehouse getting fucked by an obsidian. I was like, damn. Because the reds are like short. They're like 5 feet is like the highest tallest they get. I
She
was
was having a
like,
good time.
Jesus Christ. I was like, I'm gonna tuck that one away for later. Oh man. So that was a funny one. But yeah, I think the whole war aspect is very it's common sense to me. You got to deal with one problem at a time. If you're in a civilization, you can't just be like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna just go to peace with these guys." The other thing that really is confusing to me that I would imagine is very problematic for peace is this is all in space. It's all in the solar system.
Mhm.
And these planets orbit the sun. Their positions change.
Yep.
So at one point, Earth, like Mars, could be much closer to Venus than it is to Earth.
Yep.
I feel like defensive wise, that would be very difficult to maintain. And the trust level you'd have to have would be remarkable. And I think that would be something that would make it even more difficult for the rim. Like that would be a huge, huge negative for the rim. It's just how vastly spread out their planets are.
Yeah, that's true.
And the fact that they could literally be on the other side of the solar system at one point. So like you could be on a moon of Neptune and the next closest thing could be much further, even though you're in the rim, it could be further than what Earth or Mars is from you.
Yeah, that's true. They're they're like, all right, in 3 years we'll launch because it'll take us 50 years if we launch today.
Yeah, it's the one thing that like bugged me about the siege on Terra. It was like, what do you mean they're just going from planet to planet? That's not how that works.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like that they actually talk about like it takes like weeks or months to get to places.
Yeah, that's how I do enjoy that. It's not and then they were at Pluto and then they were at Neptune and then Saturn. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? How did we get here?
And those are fast ships.
Yeah. Yeah, so Darrow essentially the way his story starts, and I say starts, but it's literally halfway through the book that this pretty much occurs. Darrow gets ousted, but he doesn't know by who. He knows it's by one of the Howlers, because the Howlers are the only ones that know that the emissaries were there. He gets ousted, and the emissary shows up, and the emissary is actually Victra's mother. What's the
Sorry, I keep hearing my
Victra's
dog bark. What?
the emissary is also Victra's mother. What's her name?
Victor's mother? Oh, the
Oh,
Julie?
It's Cassius's mother, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's Madame Bologna. Julia? Julia Bologna, I think.
Yeah. So she hates Darrow. And
Julian.
like the one she gets brought into the Senate, it's like this big surprise witness, and it gets blown out of the water that there were some emissaries, and the Senate's like, okay, we're gonna decide whether or not we're gonna arrest Darrow. So Darrow, you go chill nicely in that hallway while we decide whether or not we're gonna arrest you. And like one of the scenes, it's like Julia Bologna smiles at that. I'm like, hey guys, did anyone notice that? Like, I think that those are our enemies, right? We probably don't want to do that. Like, whenever you have your enemy in the room and they're smiling at your actions, red flag should go up, right?
You would think, yes.
So, Darrow thinks that,
Especially
okay,
for someone that hates Dara for killing her son.
yeah, like red flags all over the place. And essentially, uh, Mustang knows none of this too as the sovereign, even though Mustang's Darrow's wife. And it's because Darrow's trying to hide this information from her because he doesn't want her to know, because if she knows, then she's lying to the Senate, and that's
Yeah.
illegal.
Yeah,
But she
he
can't
goes really out
lie.
of his way to not incriminate his wife.
Very, very well written, that part. I thought that was pretty genius.
Yeah, I agree.
So he calls like a secret meeting of the Howlers and is like, all right, I'm about to get arrested. Like, who wants to go with me? And a lot of them say no. All the Obsidians pretty much say no, because they're like, yeah, we're pretty much out of this game. Um,
Mom says no, so I can't go out tonight.
pretty much. And then I think the crazy piece here is like Clown and what's the
Pebble?
other one? Pebble. They're married. I think Pebble's the female,
Yes.
but they've got like two kids. And they're like, ah, fuck it, let's do it. And Victra's pregnant, and she's like, nah, no, I'm good. But Severo, of course, went, and she gets all crazy. She's like, well, come back alive, Darrow. You better fucking bring him too, or I'm gonna be really fucking pissed at you.
Fair. Like their third kid.
Yeah. So Severo requests that he gets to see his daughters, 'cause he has two daughters. He's gonna have a third daughter, which is hilarious. So him and Darrow basically go back to their like compound. Severo has two daughters, and Darrow has a son, Pax. We knew that from the third book.
Yep.
They just kind of revisit with them, and right before they leave, and there's a big emotional scene with Darrow and Pax. Really well done. Like they live in this like awesome fucking place where the world is non-existent outside of their little bubble, but they have to leave it all the time. It's just this soul-crushing scenario of like, man, it would just be so good if you didn't have all these problems.
Yeah. Yeah, because like in Pax's eye, like Daro is he's kind of like a deadbeat dad. Like he understands like, dad's saving the world or whatever. But he also is just like not present. So he's like, you don't even fucking know me, bro. I wish you did. It'd be cool.
Yeah, a lot of, but obviously his son still loves him too. Like
Hmm.
he built this like air bike, and then he explained to Daro that like I built it for both of us to ride. Like he still wants that interaction with his father. And at this moment, Pax like basically looks at him and is like, "Oh, you have to leave again." Daro's was like, "Yeah, I do." Very sad piece. But as Daro's walking back, there's Mustang. She's like, "Oh, you weren't even gonna tell me, yada yada yada." And she goes, "Look, like I'm tired of playing this stupid fucking game. Like, you're just gonna have to get arrested. You're not able to leave. You're not gonna get to go." But his plan is to go and assassinate the Ash Lord. He doesn't tell her that, but she's like, "I'm not. We can't do this anymore. Like, we have to like pay the piper." So she brings down Wolfgar, who is like the lead Obsidian guy in charge of security at the Senate. And he's
Hmm.
also in charge of arresting a bunch of people and a whole bunch of other, um, I get like Senate police
Yeah.
to try and arrest
Wardens.
Darrow. Yeah. Crazy fucking battle because like basically Darrow's like, I can't go. Like he has like a flashback to like being imprisoned by the Jackal. And I like remember I was like, holy fuck, like yeah, that would be fucked up. Like he probably does not ever want to go to a prison again.
Yeah, for real.
So and he believes like he's doing the right thing. So he basically he has all these wardens around and he's like, all right, who's still loyal to me? And two of them are like, we are, and just start fucking like murdering or beating up the other wardens. Wolfgar fucking kills those two, and Darrow like incapacitates all the other wardens, and then it's just Darrow and Wolfgar. Darrow has the massive upper hand, and is just gonna maim Wolfgar, but then Severo, like an idiot, stuns Wolfgar from the back, which like causes this weird scenario where Wolfgar basically falls into Darrow's blade
Yeah.
and dies. And then everything just gets fucking crazy because now Darrow's membered or murdered a member of the council and he's a complete fugitive and he's on the run and like everyone's completely against Darrow now and shit's going crazy in this civilization.
Yep. Not a
That is
good
where
look.
I've gotten to.
Not a good look for Darrow as he's escaping. He's like, fuck.
Yeah, I remember reading that and I was like, dude, this guy's so fucked now. There's nothing like I'm pretty sure Darrow dies. I'm like, there's no way this guy does it. Like, I don't see any positive. Like, he's got to almost go out and live his own life at this point.
Yeah.
Um,
A lot of shit has hit the fan for poor Darrow. But speaking of
yeah,
shit hitting the fan, let's move over to Lyra, the Red. So she is a former Gamma. So one of the Reds in the mines that had all the privileges of
yeah,
mining
all of
life.
them, all of the privileges.
Yeah, they got like
They
two
got the
bags of chips
laurels.
instead of one.
Damn.
Maybe socks. But find out that, with the rising, Quicksilver gotta have robots that go into the mines and does all the mining for them. So all the Reds got kicked out and they're basically all put into camps, just shitty camps. And it's not a great life for the Reds. They are all poor. They have to rely on rations from the Republic. And it's not great. They also find out that the Red Hand likes to come and kill the Gammas. So that's a cool
Is
thing.
is Harmony still alive?
Yes.
So she's the one that started the Red Hands, from what I understand.
Yes. She is
And
the leader of the Red Hand.
they're just the stupidest bunch of fuckers. I don't even understand it.
Yep.
They're so Harmony in the Red Hand, like conceptually, Harmony's like, I hate the golds, I want to kill all the golds. And
Yep.
that has like converted to, well, let's just fucking kill the gammas instead, which are reds.
Well, Gammas are easier to kill, but it's
They are
because
easier to kill.
Harmony was just a regular Red. She wasn't a Gamma, so and her family died of cancer because the Gammas held on to all the medication.
Just kind of a very dumbass way to look at things.
I agree. But also like I understand like hating them. Not enough to just go around murdering all of them. Like they're still like your kind. Like they were also brainwashed in the society to do things a certain way.
Yeah, and it's not like this is a very simple concept because there's two concepts that come into play here. Concept number one is like put yourself in their shoes. What are they going to do? Say, no, we don't want the laurel. That's insane. That is the
Yeah.
society that you guys knew. Like, there's never a scenario that you wouldn't accept that because it literally means like survival for your people.
Yep.
Concept number two is realizing very easily, considering the fact that you were a person that started the rising, of saying, oh, this whole thing was like made up by gold to control us. And Gamma was just a very small, very, very small cog in that wheel. That should like if Harmony was like running raids to kill golds, would make way more sense to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Gamma thing is weird.
Yeah. So Lyra, you find out, she lives with her dad, who's a deadbeat. Her
He's not a
sister,
deadbeat.
he's a deadbeat. All he does is watch TV.
He's paralyzed.
He doesn't do anything. He's
Yeah,
mentally checked out.
It's because he's paralyzed and like old as fuck and all fucked up. I
Dead.
wouldn't call him a deadbeat.
What does he
Dude,
provide?
well, here's the
Not
thing.
shit.
If you have to get your diaper changed, you're not a deadbeat. You've got something wrong with you.
All the man does is watch the television. All right. Deadbeat. He could do
Yeah,
things for himself.
I guess he could, being paralyzed and all that.
His arms work just fine.
So, yeah, she lives with her dad. She lives with her sister and her younger brother. Her sister has three kids.
Yep.
So, big family. And then she has two other brothers, sorry, one other brother and her sister's husband are fighting the war in Mercury.
Yep. Yeah, they're part of the Rising or whatever they're called. But
Yep.
you have like this whole big introduction of them and kind of like how shitty it is to be a red, and you kind of get you got the background that we talked about a little bit earlier. And then one day there's some ships land and the
Some
brother,
hoopla,
what? Yeah,
some
some hoopla
crazy
is going
shit.
on. And the brother's like, I'm gonna go check it out. And she's like, huh, that was weird. I'm also gonna go check it out. She like follows him. And her brother gets fucking shot in the face. And everything just hits the fucking fan. People are just getting fucking shot down and mowed down and murdered. And she's like,
Yeah.
what the fuck? And she's just like trying to like save her family. And she gets
Yeah.
home and she's like crying. She's like, Dad, like I can't take you and take all the kids either. And he's like,
Oh, it's crazy scene.
that'll do,
Crazy
pig.
scene.
That'll do.
Definitely not what he says.
It's word for word. I
The man,
memorized it.
he literally can't talk. He hasn't talked in like years because he's such a deadbeat.
Deadbeat, yeah.
She goes to like put him in this chair and he just says no for like first time in a long time. He's like, no, like basically telling her like don't take me, it's gonna slow you down.
That'll
So
do, pig. That'll do.
he- she says goodbye to him and like all makes all the kids say goodbye to him and tells her sister and the kids to go meet her at the tree line, and she's gonna go get her nephew, her sister's son from the infirmary, who's
Yep.
blind.
Yep. Liam.
Crazy sad scene after they leave the dad. I'm like, wow, that sucks.
Yeah.
She breaks in, gets Liam, and oh my gosh, this chapter was fucking crazy. One of the
Yeah.
best written chapters.
Yeah, this whole thing's like, what the fuck? Like they're like, hey, like they're not, it's safe here in the infirmary. Like they're not gonna come kill innocent, like sick people. And she's like, fuck all that. Liam, we're going. And
Yeah.
like, isn't like as they're leaving, like you hear it like basically getting shot up in there?
Yep. And all like it's just a systematic, crazy genocidal scenario of them just trying to murder the gammas. And it gets to the point where like she's running, she has to hide in these trash,
Yeah, like
like
she
just
got
like
to the tree line and like she's like, oh, this is a fucking trap. Like they're all here. So she has to like
all got slaughtered.
change directions and get like in literally in like trash heaps and is like hiding behind trash, and it's like a fucking like search thing. Like people are coming by just like shooting the trash bags and like finding people and killing them. Like what the fuck?
They light the whole thing on fire to try and like literally like rats, like
Smoke
they're
them
trying to
out,
like
yeah.
push them out, and they make their way to the ships because there's a river nearby and there's people waiting there too. And then right when things like she gets shot in the shoulder, they're just literally mowing people down in this field, like absolutely crazy scene. And then the Telemanuses arrive, and basically do like an iron rain on the area to take out that group. And she injured, holding Liam. She makes it to a boat, and then somebody comes down in the Iron Rain into the water, just like Darrow did in the second book.
Fucking headbutts the ground.
So
Oh, fuck, I'm
she
upside down.
she goes in, she pulls this guy out, and then the next scene with her is like the whole place is just fucking in an absolute mess. She goes searching for her sister. And I remember, like, as the reader, I'm like, well, she told her sister to go to the tree line, and we saw a bunch of people get mowed down there.
Yep.
And I'm like, that would be crazy if the sister and her two kids died. And sure enough, she just fucking finds those bodies. And I was like, holy fuck. Okay, Pierce.
Yeah,
It's
like
getting
there's
dark.
no plot armor. It's just
It's
dead.
getting dark. So she she's all fucked up and goes back to the infirmary to get her shoulder checked out. And that's when Kavix, fellow Mana, shows up. That's the person she saved. And he basically like tells her that his family owes her a great debt. And she makes a big scene and basically requests that he takes her and Liam with him when he returns to the moon. And this was such a cool scene. This was so well written. Like Kavix, the way that he works is just so fucking cool.
Yeah, I love Kavix. Just great fucking character.
And his daughter is there, and his daughter's like, no, we can't. It's breaking all the immigration rules. Like, I'm sorry, our family can't help you, yada, yada, yada. And they start walking away, and then Sophocles, who's their family fox, like basically runs over to Lyria and pulls out like treats in her pocket. And Kavix is like, oh my gosh, this is a sign from the gods. Like this omen, like it absolutely, we have to take this person with us because he's all spiritual. And his daughter's like, fuck, god damn it. Dad's like a
The
lunatic and I
fucking
can't stop
fox.
this. We gotta fucking do this. And you get this really cool moment where Kavix like is talking to Lyra and she's like, I did not have candy in my pocket. Did you put it there? And he's like, sometimes it's best if people think you're crazy. Oh my God, Kavix is so fucking cool.
Yeah, he's a fucking G. Like every time you see Kavix, he's just being a G.
So Lyria is basically Sophocles' keeper, which is a story I didn't think would be interesting, but it really is. Like I love seeing the Lyria stories. And she just like the next chapter, like an intro to this, she's like walking around picking up his shit. It's fucking hilarious, but she got to take her blind nephew with her and they put him in school and Kavix is teaching her to read. Like just really, really cool things with Lyra there. So awesome character. One I didn't think I would. I thought she was gonna be my least favorite, and she's awesome to read.
Yeah, I like her a lot. I think she gets better in Dark Age too.
Who do you want to tackle
Um,
next?
let's go with Ephraim.
Go Ephraim. So
I
you
love
don't know
Ephraim.
this. Ephraim's great. You don't know this in the beginning of the book, but Ephraim is somewhat tied to the rest of the story because Holiday's brother, who dies in the beginning of the third book, rescuing Darrow, it is his lover
Yep, his husband.
or his husband. That's right, Ephraim's husband. So Ephraim knows Holiday, and he basically, after the death of his husband, joined the Rising and then quit the Rising and became like a, how would you describe it? Like a freelance. He's a thief, really.
Yeah, I mean, he's a contracted thief.
He's got a group. You basically get introduced to him because he has a group of thieves that he works with. He's hired by this employer to go and steal a sword, like a really famous sword.
Yep.
He does
The
so,
razor of Selenar or something. It's like the very first sovereign. It's his razor.
right. So he goes and does this whole thing. You get introduced to his crew. He's got an obsidian, a green, and a red. The red is very weird. I have a really hard time picturing him because he's like an acrobat red that wears like latex, but is also like a ladies' man. And I'm like, how does
Yep.
that work?
Something doesn't add up here, Pierce.
One of the my favorite parts about Ephraim's stories is he is in like the shithole city on the moon,
Hmm.
like the capital city, and it gives off like huge, huge Blade Runner vibes.
Yeah,
Like,
I was thinking like cyberpunk. Yeah.
yeah, very cyberpunk-esque, like futuristic shit city. There's a bunch of thieves running around, a bunch of gangs, and like there's just big advertisements everywhere. Like really, really cool theme. And
Yep.
it's everywhere with Ephraim.
Yep. Big fan.
He gets at one point he gets he meets with Holiday for the birthday of his dead husband. and he's a very big alcoholic, like super sarcastic asshole alcoholic, like a character that almost everyone just enjoys reading about, like
Yep.
very similar character tropes. And he basically tells Holiday to go fuck herself, like he's not going to rejoin, and he's just decided he's a piece of shit, and almost decides to kill himself, and then something stops him. He gets kidnapped by this gang,
The Syndicate,
who the Syndicate, yeah,
who, if you remember, the Jackal was a part of.
yes. And this is a great scene where they are about to torture him and they're asking him about information about the people that stole the sword. And he's
Mhm.
like, yeah, I stole the sword. And they're like, well, who do you work for? He's like, I don't know. I only worked with like a white handler. And they're like, great, give me the white handler's name. And he's like, no, I'm not a snitch. And they're like, all right, well, we're gonna chop off your hand and your balls and all of these things. And he's like freaking the fuck out, obviously. But he's like, at least I have something to like get my hand chopped off for now. Like previous I was gonna give you information, but I'm not a snitch. So he declined it, and it turns out the whole thing was just a test. They were actually the people that requested him steal the sword. So they had him steal the sword from themselves. Um, and it was a test to see if he could pull off a larger heist. And the syndicate essentially like kind of fucks Ephraim to where they're like, hey, thanks for taking on these minor thieving contracts with us to steal from us, but now you've stolen from us, so now you have to do this bigger contract. I'm like, wow, that logic is just impeccable. I mean,
That
it's
is some
great.
like real deep Syndicate bullshit.
Some real dumb shit. So they bring out what's called the Sovereign's Kiss. Is that what it's called?
I don't remember.
It's a flower. They give him a black rose, basically, and that gives him like a whole bunch of power within the city, but you're not allowed to reject it. Essentially, is the concept. So he's like fucked, and he has to get his crew because they know all the crew members and everything, and they'd kill them all. And he convinces them to join him on this heist. Now, at this point, I don't know what the heist is, but I have a very good guess on what the heist is.
What's your guess?
Like my guess is it's Daro's son,
Okay, go ahead.
sovereign son. That's my guess. But they basically like they have a month to pull off like what I know of right now is like the heist of the century. And there's like public spots that the thing that they're stealing will be at, which I immediately thought Daro's son, but then when they were saying there's like different public locations, I'm like, oh yeah, definitely. Like this person's just making appearances. Um, so that's my thought on that. But he just there's a whole lot in here with Ephraim, but he is a lot of it is just sarcastic rambling and walking through the city, and they're just fun chapters to read.
Yep, I like him a lot. That leaves us one more. Good old Lysander, the
The-
grandson of the previous sovereign who is now with Cassius.
I'm
Cassius.
so glad we got this POV.
Yeah, it's great.
I like when you were talking about POVs, like, oh yeah, there's these books do POVs. I was like, man, I really hope we get like Lysander and Cassius, and I really hope it's a cool story. And it did not disappoint. Really cool. Super happy about it.
Yeah, there's one scene with Cassius that I'm fully expecting you to text me and be like, "Holy fuck, that's a fucking man right there." It's
Is it the part
probably
where
one
he
of my
wears the
all-time
mask?
favorite scenes. What?
Is it the part with the mask?
No.
Oh, okay, because that was pretty crazy.
No, you'll know. You're gonna be like, "Damn, that's a fucking man."
I love Cassius as a character, so I'm very excited. He might be my favorite character, like in the books.
He's definitely up there for me. I don't know who my favorite is actually. I really like Ephraim.
Yeah, Ephraim's pretty cool. A Severo, I don't know. Severo just is
Severo's
always
great.
borderline weird.
Yeah, he's very weird. I really like Victra, his wife.
Yes, yes.
I also really like Mustang. Her point of view in Dark Age is awesome.
Yeah, Mustang is just a smart but also fun person. Like, just done
Probably
really
hot
well.
as fuck.
Yeah, probably. That's how I imagine her, at least.
Amen, brother.
We're standing next to two obsidian mommies.
Oh no, not me, my little red self and my little jumpsuit. It's an latex, the best. Anyway,
So when I first picked up and started reading Lysander's story, the thing that was like this, like literally like put the book down, was like, this is fucking awesome. Basically, Cassius is training Lysander to just be a good person, and they're doing that by just going around and doing good things by and also like fucking up now and then. They're basically the Guardians of the Galaxy.
pretty much, yeah.
Lysander and Cassius are just rogues on the run,
With a
and
random blue.
with a random blue that they picked up out of like a mine because she was like for like officially sent to the mines like forever for something that she
She's
did.
Rocket Raccoon.
Yeah, and they're all just like going around fucking shit up, trying to do good for people, but it's always like backfiring in some way. So I was like, this is great. I'm so glad that this is where it went. Like absolutely perfect. And Lysander is a difficult fucking character.
Yep.
He's complex because Cassius has now just fully gone full Darrow, where he's like, look, like we're saving lives. It doesn't matter if it's gold, it doesn't matter if it's red. Like this is the society, and what Darrow was doing was correct. And he's like making up for his like ignorance of the past.
Yeah.
Lysander is still under this turmoil of like all these teachings from Cassius, but he also was raised by the sovereign and raised by Aja and all of these people who were a part of the society. And he watched Darrow slaughter his grandmother in front of him and
Yeah.
his aunt.
Yep.
And he's like, I really struggle with this. So he still like really greatly values golds and still holds a grudge against Darrow and the Rising, but he's not a bad person, which is really cool character.
Yeah.
Or at least he's not a bad person right now. I can definitely see that. I see like him being, I'm super interested in seeing how his character, like his self progresses, because I can see Lysander being somebody that could have a really big impact on the society.
Yeah, I know like there's a big thing of people absolutely fucking hate Lysander, so I'm expecting him to do some fucked up shit eventually. I don't know when. I don't know what, but that's what I'm fully expecting.
All right. I hope not. He's definitely one of those characters that's like he could go either way.
Yeah.
But as you read about him, it's probably a bigger struggle because he doesn't appear to be a bad person. And a really good example of this is pretty much how the story starts off. Is they're just sitting in the belt, so not in the rim, not in the central dominance, but they not dominance. I just went back to Mistborn, not in the center, not the four planets in the middle, but they get this distress beacon. Uh, Cassius and Lysander board this ship. They find a whole bunch of callers basically just been slaughtered by these obsidians. Like gory fucking scene where the obsidians are literally eating humans. Like what the fuck?
Yeah.
They became space Vikings, and Pierce Brown is very candidly saying, "Hey, Vikings weren't good people. They murdered a lot of people." And that's a really good point.
Yep.
He's like, yeah, we've got a lot of like really cool Disney movies now about Vikings, but that is not how they were. Um, so they rescue these low callers, but you come to find out that there's a gold on board, and Lysander feels particularly um, pushed to help that person.
She's hot.
Um,
That's the
that's
only
what
thing
he
that
was
makes
going
sense.
for. And she was naked, so he was like, damn.
Look at them titties.
He gets like the shit beat out of him, rescues this gold, has to leave all the other low callers because they don't have time, and they definitely got eaten by obsidians,
Yep.
which is insane.
But it's all right.
And
You got the hot
Lysander,
chick.
he got the hot chick. Lysander gets on board, and they're getting followed by these obsidians. There's like no way out. He's like stapling up this uh gold, finds out she's a peerless scarred. She's like passed out. She keeps telling him to go to this asteroid. So she's on this ship originally because she like basically purchased passage to go to this asteroid from this captain. And they're like, well, fuck, we're gonna die either way, so let's go to this asteroid. Cassius is very much against it because he's like, I'm fucking Cassius baloney, and everyone fucking
People
hates
know
me.
me, guys. I'm hot as fuck. I'm super cool. Everyone knows who the Cassius is.
And you're Lysander, kind of the heir to the historical throne of like, I don't know, this whole fucking solar system.
And people really hate your grandma.
Yeah, these people do. And we're going near the edge of the rim, and all of a sudden these crazy ships come out, and Cassius, basically right before they went, Cassius is like, does she have a scar? And he's like, no. And then the ships come out, he's like, she had a fucking scar, didn't she? And Lysander's like, yeah.
Yeah, she totally did. But she's so
So
hot.
I mean, it still looks good. Cassius does this insane fucking thing where he puts on this mask that like rips his fucking face to shreds, basically.
It like melts his face or some shit. It's
And they
fucking nuts.
don't
It's a whole process too.
they don't have any stems. Typically, you would just like knock yourself out, but he's just like, hold me down because I'm gonna try and kill you while I do this.
He's a
Come to
man.
find out, the golds that pick him up, they're from the outer rim, conducting some sort of spy network within the asteroid belt there. And the girl that was the gold, she actually turns out to be Anra's daughter.
Yep.
So she's like the princess of the outer rim.
Essentially, yeah.
And the outer rim golds are real fucking dicks, like massive dicks.
Yep. And they hate the balonies and the loons.
They fucking suck. The way they torture people, like for no reason. Like, well, Lysander's like, listen, like I'm a gold. I invoke the rights that you guys still follow as a gold. This girl just takes his head and starts squeezing his eyeball into his skull. And he's like, what the fuck is happening?
Well, yeah, it's really fascinating too because like they're based off of like Japanese culture. Like they're very Japanese in
Oh,
like
really?
yeah, they're very like minimalistic. Like they don't like sit in chairs. Like they do like the kneeling thing on like pillows, like stuff like that. So I wonder if it's like medieval like Japan,
Torture?
like that's how they did it.
Oh, yeah, they're really into torture. They basically
They
locked
are.
Cassius and Lysander into a room where like they just didn't get any like water. They give them like a cup of water every like 3 days and
Yeah.
just dehydrated them almost to death. When Lysander was like trying to like get information by what their new storm night because they established a new night order. He was like, "Oh yeah, let's do this." So he brings him to this like thing where he basically ties a rope to him and then shoots him outside of the ship to like bang against the ship and on top of like Saturn, and all the like sun and the poison is like killing his body, and pulls him back in. He's like, "Welcome to Saturn."
You
The
have cancer,
fuck?
you're welcome.
Like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? That's where I am with Lysander. I think he's about to go to Io. But god damn, like that's literally the chapter I'm on right now. But I'm like, holy shit, you guys suck ass.
Man, I am like so excited for the Cassius scene because it's so fucking like I read it and I was like, I'm pretty sure that was like one of those like I closed the book. I'm like, damn, what a fucking badass scene.
I'm excited. Very pumped. I've been enjoying this book. I enjoy all of the characters' point of views. There's not a single one I dislike. Every single chapter, I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm like looking forward to read the next one. It's hard to put down. It's
Dude,
been so long.
the next one, I'm telling you, is the craziest shit. Like it is just like Dark Age. It's dark, man. Like there's some shit I'm like, what the fuck, Pierce, is wrong with you?
Pierce
Holy
gets a little weird.
shit. It is dark, man. Like there's like people being like impaled and shit. I'm just like, all
Oh
right,
my God.
yeah. It's fucking crazy.
I'm just waiting for this to be like really just the intro to Slanesh. Like this is how, and then Slanesh appears because shit just got absolutely wild, and I'm super fucked up.
The last book is Red God. Maybe the Red God is Slanesh.
Man,
The
what
gold
an
has been
event that'd
Eldar
be.
the whole time.
No, but it's been great. I mean, I'm excited to rank it at the end next week. Hopefully, I'll be done next week. I think I'll be on pace to do so, but we will see. I have a lot of moving to do this weekend, so we will
Or
see
time
how
to
that goes.
the Audible.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna buy the book in the car so I can listen to it on the way down.
It's fucking worth it, man. I love it. I bought it
Yep.
twice, I think. I'm pretty sure because it's cheaper on the Kindle if I like bundle it. So I normally just bundle it because it's like, oh, I can spend $24 for the Audible version, or I can pay $18 for the book and the Audible. Like, well, I'm just gonna do that every fucking time.
Yeah, for sure.
Silliness. Well, yeah, that's it for us then, guys. Next week we will hopefully have Iron Gold finish. Cannot wait for Gavin to get a Dark Age because it's fucking so good. As always, hit us up on Discord. Find that pin to our Twitter at Heresy Lodge. Email us at theheresiolodge@gmail.com. Check us out on YouTube at the Heresy Lodge. Buy yourself some merch. Valentine's Day is coming up. Your significant other wants this. They need it, and it will make everyone happy. That's it, guys. Have a good one.